Echo 5, do you copy? Echo 5.
Echo 2, good morning. Nice of you to drop by.
Feeling alright, sir? Thought we lost you.
Right now, I feel like I can take on this whole podcast myself.
I know what you mean. Ready to send that transmission to Echo Base?
Yes, sir. R10, patch through.
Welcome, guys, to another transmission from Hoth. I'm Echo 2 with...
Echo 5.
Alright, guys, so today we're going to be discussing Episode 5 of The Mandalorian. And we got some juicy stuff, a lot of cool stuff to discuss, a lot of cool reveals. But before we jump into that, we're just going to... Some news happened this week. Mr. David Prowse, the guy that was the menacing presence of Darth Vader throughout the original trilogy, passed away just a couple days ago. Man, we send our best regards to his family, and he was part of what I really liked about Darth Vader is just because of his height and just the way that he emphasized like a lot of the emotions and acted out the character of Vader.
Yeah, like you said, just his presence. Like when he walks in the room, everybody just kind of knows this guy's in charge, and they're scared. They're not just scared of him, but they respect him.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you're Darth Vader and nobody respects him, they're just kind of
Oh,
scared
I
of
know.
him. But
Generally
as an actor, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But a great loss in the Star Wars universe. He's joining our princess, our droid, and our Wookiee. So
yeah, that post was really actually awesome. I was scrolling through Instagram this morning, and I didn't know it was actually the hotspot that posted it at first. And then I did a double take and saw that you posted it, and it was that post with the spirits, and it had the ensemble from the original cast.
yeah,
and it's crazy to see the main characters are all passed away, and
yeah, just a few left.
One with the Force, and all you got left is Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill. It's crazy.
And Anthony Daniels.
Oh, that's right.
And Billy D. Williams. Let's not forget.
I'm just talking about from that picture that you posted.
Oh, yeah.
It just showed that group with the 6 of them. It was just really cool.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
It was crazy to see there's just the other 2 left over there.
Yeah. Still here, really sad loss to the Star Wars community.
It's crazy coming from the original Star Wars, being an original Star Wars fan like yourself, but you were a fan since 7 years old?
Yeah.
So I mean, I became a fan when I was about 12, but still, I was a fan when Episode 1 came out, but I still watched the originals over and over and over when I was waiting those that 3-year gap between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, and it's just crazy to see that slowly but surely these original Star Wars, the original Star Wars that we know it is slowly fading, becoming one with the Force. It's pretty sad.
Moving on to the Disney Empire, but
yeah, Disney Empire. Way to put it.
But,
they're actually doing a good job, man. They're doing a good job.
They are.
Mandalorian is tearing it up.
Yeah, but David Prowse will forever be part of the Star Wars world, and
absolutely.
All right, so now what you guys are here for is the discussion of Mandalorian Chapter 13. And this episode was directed by Dave Filoni. Yeah, it was titled The Jedi, so directed by Dave Filoni himself. And he gave fans exactly what we wanted to see.
Yeah.
Although my theory on what was going to happen in this episode was completely wrong. But I still have some ideas.
Well, what was your theory again?
My theory was that Moff Gideon was going to show up at the last 15 minutes of the show and
totally
capture Ahsoka.
I thought he was going to show up in the last scene when they're saying goodbye on the ship.
Yeah.
I thought he was totally going to show up. I didn't think he was just going to leave. So that'll be interesting to see where he goes. Well, obviously. So you think?
Oh, we know where he's going.
You think that's where he's going to show up? You think he'll show up on Tython?
Yeah. I mean, he's got the tracker on it, and I'm sure he's going to show up there. and that might even be where this random Jedi will show up. Maybe that'll be the
Unless we
Jedi that they
unless we have
capture
another
for.
film, it would be kind of anti. I'm sure they won't do it. It'd be kind of funny if they go. They do the next filler episode before they go to Tython, and that's where Gideon shows up. Some
I
random
don't.
planet. I know they're
I
probably
don't.
not going to do it this time, but I think
Yeah, I was gonna
it's
say because this time his ship is not destroyed, so he can make the trip directly there.
And we have 3 episodes left, so it's time for the climax to begin.
Yeah, and none of these from chapter 13 on, we haven't seen any of these scenes from the trailer, so we have no idea what to expect. So we know that they're gonna be doing some crazy stuff. Hopefully.
Wasn't that super cool watching this episode and not seeing any footage before? Just everything was a shocker because I'm so used to seeing even a Star Wars movie because I don't have the kind of patience to not watch trailers before movies because
Yeah.
I'm just way too excited. I'm all about the journey and not just the destination. I enjoy the trailers. I enjoy the hype.
Yeah.
And just knowing and speculating up to the release of a movie and or show in this situation. And it was really different and exciting to see this episode and not have seen any footage.
Yeah.
Before I saw it, I haven't done that in a long time. I haven't seen anything like that in a long time.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, it was because it's just every scene that just came up. It's like, oh man, this is a cool shot. This is a cool shot. This is a cool shot. And I know why they didn't put this in the trailer because if they showed any of this, then it would have given away the whole hype of Ahsoka showing up.
And it's amazing how they're able to keep that under wraps so long.
Well,
they had all these
technically tons and tons of rumors of Ahsoka showing up was in all around the internet. So
I know, but I'm talking about an actual image. We never actually saw a leaked image, nothing, and we had all the rumors. But because once we saw, they did the same thing with Bo-Katan in Episode 3. There was rumors, but the rumor wasn't as strong as the Rosario Dawson rumor for Ahsoka Tano. And when I saw Bo-Katan, I was freaking surprised because I hadn't seen anything, and maybe it was out there and I didn't see it, but I don't remember seeing any leaked images. I remember hearing rumors, but I remember them being kind of like minor rumors.
Yeah, they probably didn't take any like promotional images until after the show was released, and those were probably even kept on held under tight security.
Well,
the episodes came out.
You know what was so cool about it is leading up to this episode, we saw so many fan art, Photoshop versions of Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And so we all had an idea of how she looked. We're like, okay, she probably looks something like this. I mean, this looks pretty accurate. When it came out, she kind of looked like that, but she looked better. She looked she looked a lot. She was very convincing. I was very surprised how good she looked.
She honestly, to me, she reminded me more of Shakti than she did Ahsoka, other than like the facial tattoos and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know. Sometimes she had the Ahsoka smirks, the little smile Ahsoka does, and she would kind of stand in the way she'd fold her arms, the way Ahsoka would fold her arms and grab her like lower elbows.
Yeah.
And she had that same stance on a couple of shots, and I thought that was a nice little touch.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not so used to the Clone Wars Ahsoka. I've got to go back and watch Rebels to kind of see her more matured like personality because I was having a hard time fitting that Ahsoka personality to the Rosario Dawson portrayal of Ahsoka.
Yeah,
like it was there, but at the same time, I felt like something was off. But I mean, I was overall happy with how they presented her.
Well, I've heard talked to other people that have seen the episode, and it's generally all positive. I did hear one person say that they were a little disappointed with the fighting style. They didn't feel like it was the style that they're used to with Ahsoka, and I was kind of thinking, I was kind of telling them it's probably a lot harder to do that in a live action. Yeah, but I see what they're saying. Like Ahsoka pretty much fights with the switch style, the reverse blade style, and she didn't really do that until the end with the one lightsaber.
Yeah, because Ahsoka has more like she's more quick movements and flips, which they actually did really well with how many flips that they had Rosario Dawson do.
With like the front flip and the fight with the
front flips, she did back
straight.
flips. Like she didn't do the same style that we saw her against Vader in Rebels, like the 3 backflips in a row. I I mean, that's just a little too much for live action.
Yeah.
But
Was it
overall,
just me, or was it more fun to watch her deflect lightsaber bolts and cut people down than it actually was to see her fight the magistrate? I had more fun
I
watching all her
enjoyed
moves. Yeah,
both
I don't know.
equally. Like both of them had its own like flair to it. I when the opening scene, like you get into this episode, and I was not expecting two white lightsabers just to light up a dark forest with
Well, because
green
I didn't
fogs.
think they were going to have her the whole episode. I thought it was
Oh,
going to
I
be
think they
like,
would.
oh man, I was hoping, but I didn't expect it, and so I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, and so with I like the whole style with her just kind of like going through the fog, slicing people down, deflecting bullets, turning off her lightsabers, and becoming a
Disappearing.
ghost. And just
Yeah, that
becoming
was
a
super
ghost.
good. That was great. I
And
didn't
so
think
I thought
I
the
didn't
whole
think
style was pretty good.
well, I didn't think she was going to be so Yoda-ish, like the way when Din Djarin and the child go out, and when they meet Ahsoka, she's so like wise and calm. Like one thing I noticed the second time I watched the episode is how calm she was the whole episode. She's very calm. She has a lot of patience, and she's very just kind of, I don't know. She's just,
Well,
I don't know how to describe. She's very. I
that's
thought she was
what.
going to be a little, because since she left the order and all that stuff happened, I thought she was going to be a little bit more dark-ish.
Well, you got to remember, like she was trained by Anakin Skywalker,
Yeah.
but most of the time that she was around Anakin, Obi-Wan was there, so she kind of picked up a little bit of both of their characteristics. Like Obi-Wan is
Sure.
always super calm in any situation, whereas Anakin is just like quick to make a decision and think later.
Well,
Obi-Wan was
I feel like she's also matured a lot
oh,
and
absolutely, and we
had
see
time
that
to
in Rebels.
really become one with the Force in exile and solitude, or whatever she's been up to. Just being able to kind of tap in to the surrounding Force. I feel like
Oh, absolutely.
she just felt more in tune
And
to
with the
me.
mention of Tython, I kind of feel like, well, okay, well, we can jump back to the book where we talked about how she took on the name Ashla, and they kind of pulled that a little bit from Legends. And
Mm-hmm.
then this book, or I mean, not this book, but this episode, she talks about Mando taking the child over to the planet Tython.
Mm-hmm.
And we can do a little bit of background on this for those people that have no idea anything about it. This planet was originally taken from Legends. I believe it first showed up in the Legends book, Darth Bane, the Rule of Two, and it was the original homeworld of the Jedi Eye Order. And this planet was accompanied by two moons. One was called the Ashla, which was the embodiment of the light side, and then the other moon was Bogon, which was the embodiment of the dark side. And so
Mm-hmm.
before the Jedi split into light side and dark side and Jedi versus Sith, they were basically a balance between the two. Whenever one person became too dark, they'd be taken over to Ashla. If someone was a little too light, they'd have to balance it out and go over to Bogon. And then it became like this battle between who was stronger. And so then they eventually split into the dark side and the light side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's kind of really cool that they're bringing Tython into uh, canon because
Yeah.
it shows that they're really looking at all the legend stuff and really pulling the stuff that's like the really interesting stuff. Because even in this episode isn't the first time it's mentioned uh, in canon. It was brought in the book Doctor Afra, or the comic book Doctor Afra. I believe it was the number 40.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was brought into the High Republic, the first book, or the first comic.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, no, okay, so it was first mentioned in Doctor Afra 38, and then they actually made an appearance on it in uh, comic book 40. And so it's really cool that they're kind of like pulling it in. And so you can
Yeah,
see
really.
that Ahsoka is kind of developed a little bit more in the Force because if she knows about this planet and it's such a high channeling place for the Force, you know that she hasn't just taken this, even though she's left the Jedi Order. You know she's been studying and keeping up with the Force.
Sure. No, absolutely. Absolutely. That's really cool. It was cool to see how she, when she recognized the child, she looked at the child as if she knew this person, and we were
I
able to
wonder.
get.
I
Go
wonder
ahead.
if she came into. I wonder if she came in contact with them, because we do learn a little bit of
I
that
think she
history.
did. I think she did. The way she talked to Grogu, who she apparently is the name of the child.
Hmm.
She talked about it as if she knew who he was, as if they have, not like, I don't know how much history, but she seemed to know of him because obviously Ahsoka spent a lot of time in Coruscant, um, and she probably tutored or trained some younglings here and there, just at the temple. Who knows? I mean, there's anything's possible, but
Oh yeah.
um, I just thought it was really fun to get a little bit more story about the child and or Grogu, and to see how stubborn he was, how he basically had to kind of hide his powers to not reveal himself as Jedi were being hunted down during these times, and it's just really cool. It's fun. I love this era of Star Wars where the Jedi are pretty much just legends. There's a handful of them out there, but it's all kind of legends. It's almost the way that Din Djarin looks at the Force. It's the way we saw the Force in the original Star Wars
Right.
with Luke, and he meets Obi-Wan and learns a little bit, and then he hears there's another one out there. He meets Yoda, and there's just not much out there, and you just kind of have to travel around, going on adventures, and find these Jedi's that are out in exile, that are out there, that have been hiding for who knows how long, and learn from them. And it kind of feels like we're going on that adventure all over again, but in a different angle. It's just really fun.
Oh, absolutely. It's just really curious on just what they're doing with everything that they're introducing into the
Yeah,
whole Mandalorian universe.
yeah. Anything's possible. That's what's fun about this era, man. There's there's a lot of characters that are out there. Luke Skywalker's out there. Han Solo's out there. Chewbacca's out there. 3PO, R2, like all these characters. Leia,
Yeah, even
it's
Ezra.
Ezra, Cal Kestis, and uh, who do you think the Jedi is that
Well, I
she's?
mean, she goes up to Morgan Elsbeth, and they do that whole little duel right there. And
Mhm.
I'm really curious on what they're going to be doing with that whole thing. But I want to say it might be Ezra, because if
I
she's
want
in
to
this
say
part of the galaxy and
I
she's
want to say
looking
it's
for Grand
Ezra.
Admiral Thrawn, Ezra's got
Yeah,
to be close by. Either he's captured or Thrawn knows where he's at, and that's
right. Well,
why.
because that's exactly how Rebels ends. Is Ezra goes off into some unknown region with Thrawn in his Star Destroyer, right? And they just kind of
Right.
take off in hyperspace, and then Sabine meets up with Ahsoka at the end and says, "All right, let's go find Ezra." And then it ends, and then this is only 5 years later, so now she's looking for Grand Admiral Thrawn. So maybe the big picture, she's actually looking for Ezra.
Yeah. Well, I'm guaranteed that's why she's looking for Thrawn.
Sure,
Uh,
that's
because
what I
we
think.
see, yeah, because we see in Rebels that's ultimately what she was doing,
Right, exactly.
and so I'm assuming she hasn't found him yet.
Yeah, no, which could also give us a chance to meet Sabine Wren.
Yeah.
I got a question for you, Mark.
Yeah.
So far, seeing an animated character you knew really well be turned into a live action character, who do you think has delivered better, Bo-Katan or Ahsoka for you personally? For you,
Uh, that's a tough one. I I think they both did really well
yeah,
in making the character alive. I'd probably say Ahsoka, because we had more screen time with Ahsoka. Like, Ahsoka is pretty much the meat of this episode. Like,
yeah.
every scene was pretty much her in it, and Mando
Did,
seemed like he was a
wasn't
side character.
wasn't the cinematography with her like amazing? Do you remember that scene where she picks up where she's just kind of silently uh, communicating or meditating with Grogu, and you see that moon in the background, and then she kind of picks him up, and it just looks like an art piece. Like, it totally looks like an art piece brought to life. It's an amazing shot. It's
Oh
where
yeah,
Mando's kind of standing back, and it's so good.
he's kind of like a little nervous about what she's doing with the child.
Yeah, she's
Like,
like, "Are you guys communicating? Can you hear each other? What's going on?"
can you understand him?
Yeah.
Sort of. It's more like we're connecting through the force and reading his thoughts.
How great was that scene though, where she says, "Does he still know how to wield the Force?" And
Yeah, he's
he's
like,
like,
"Oh, you
"You
mean
mean
the
his
powers?"
powers?" Yeah, and she starts talking, and she says, "I thought it was gonna." It's so funny. I'm like, "Oh, here we go." She's gonna say the Yoda line, and it's an energy field created by all living things, and binds the universe together, and does the whole spiel that Yoda does. But the way she said it, she said the same line, but she said it differently, and it was, and then like I believed it. She pulled it off so well that she had me like convinced that, okay, this is all right. I'm in. This is really good.
Yeah, I actually wasn't expecting her to say I cannot train him,
Yeah, I didn't
but
expect
it
that.
goes
Yeah.
on with that whole wisdom thing. She's like, and her attachment to Anakin. She's like, I've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
Was she's like, this type of attachment is not good, and so she's kind of still holding on to a little bit of the old Jedi Order ways, and so she's like, I'm not going to train him. She's like,
Yeah.
you make him too vulnerable to his fears.
Do you think also she's kind of just her faith in that, in the idea of training someone that has any ounce of fear or anything like that is pointed at Anakin and her experience?
Oh, absolutely. Like she served Anakin the whole time, saw the
Yeah.
attachment that he had with Padme and how much he cared, how
Mm-hmm.
loyal he was to everybody, even to R2. Like
Yeah.
he endangered an entire mission just to go back and save R2. And Obi-Wan's like, dude, what are you doing? It's just a droid.
Yeah.
He's like, well,
Yeah.
to me, he's not. And
Yeah.
so he didn't really hold on to a lot of the Jedi waste. Um, and so it became kind of a weakness for him. And for Anakin, it became a a weakness. But not every Jedi is the same. And maybe since Mando can kind of like hold his own, I think Grogu shouldn't be too worried about him because Mando's the one protecting him, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
But I could definitely see why she kind of has that hesitation to train. And
Yeah.
so she kind of put it on Grogu and said, "Hey, all right, take him to the planet Tython, take him to find these ancient ruins, go to the top of the mountain, has a strong connection to the forest, have him reach
Mm-hmm.
out with the in the forest and see if he can
Do you think?
connect
Do
with
you
the
think?
Jedi and make him choose his own path."
Do you think she was also doing that to also help find Ezra? Or
No,
do you think that's just thinking too far?
I
Just
think
because
you're.
she said, well, she kind of hesitates. She goes, well, there is another way. There is another idea I have. You can, if you want to be trained, go to Tython and go to the Jedi Temple there, and go to the Seer Stone, and reach out, and a Jedi will find you if he's out there.
Well, I think if that was the case, uh, she would have done it herself because
Sure.
she's looking for Ezra at this point, who's with
So,
Grand Admiral Thrawn from the last
well,
time
then
she saw him.
would that mean with her goal? Do you think that would mean that it's not Ezra at that point then? Because you're saying that she.
I don't think she thought because like when she
Mm,
said, "Have him reach out with the Force, and maybe a Jedi will answer," but there are a few of us left.
yeah.
And I know a lot of people were kind of like thinking at this time, okay, which Jedi is it going to be? We've got Luke Skywalker at this time. We've got
Mm-hmm.
Ezra, who's they're still trying to find, and then we've
Sure.
got Cal Kestis, which we're not even sure how far he lives past Fallen Order.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's going to be a sequel to Fallen Order, so there's at least one more game with him.
I mean, there was thousands of Jedi during the time of the Clone
Ten
Wars
thousand
era.
Jedi.
There was 10,000. Okay, so there could be a couple more out there somewhere too.
Oh,
Not
I'm sure.
it
I'm sure
as
there's plenty.
cool as it'd be to see somebody we know. Obviously, it'd be awesome to see. We can easily get a Luke Skywalker, and have Sebastian Stan play the Return of the Jedi, you know, style
Version.
Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. That would be super cool. And they are trying to. I don't know if they're on this. Okay, I said that wrong. They're likely merging some of the gap between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, which is some of the material, sort of like how we got some of the seeds of the First Order, or the rise, the return of the Empire in the fourth episode. Um, it's possible we could see. It would be fun to see Luke slowly start gathering his students, or see it at least begin in some way, or even get a fun cameo with Luke. You know what would be really cool though? How cool would it be if we get more of Ahsoka? I'm sure we will. How cool would it be to see her communicating with the Jedi Spirit, Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen?
Ooh, that would actually be kind of cool.
Because that's what all the fans were asking for in the Rise of Skywalker, and we didn't get it.
It would make more sense with Ahsoka.
It would make a lot of sense with Ahsoka. Like I was thinking, actually, when she was on, when we're on Corvus and we're going through the forest, I was thinking when she's kind of standing around with Grogu and communicating, I was like, oh man, how cool would it be if Anakin just shows up and she asks for advice, or I don't know. Then again, it'd be too much focus off of her. So I think if they did that, they would not do it on this episode. They'd do it after they introduced her.
I don't even think we'll see it in Mandalorian, because there's not really a focus on Ahsoka, and her communing with Anakin wouldn't make sense to the story at this point.
It's not. It's just hopeful.
It's going to be something that's going to be off screen, maybe a spin-off series or comic book or something. I don't think we'll see right. Mandalorian, as cool as it would be. And cool. I was talking with one of my buddies, because he recently watched The Mandalorian this episode, and he was kind of talking. He's like, okay, so Grogu goes up to the top of the temple, puts himself out in the forest. He's like, don't you think even the Sith would feel his presence? If there's even like any dark side user, you think one of them would answer as well and come? That we might not just get a Jedi, but we might actually get a dark side user.
I've heard that theory. It's possible, especially since looking at the history, about Tython, how it's connected to both the light and the dark side.
Yeah, and with the whole thing of whatchamacallit, we talked about like all the Jedi, that a lot of them could still be alive. And when we see in Jedi Fallen Order, we have Cal Kestis, who goes to Dathomir, and there's a Jedi that kind of falls to the dark side there. And so there's got to be plenty of Jedi that survived Order 66 that kind of just turned from the ways of the light side, and out of self-preservation did whatever that was necessary.
Sure, I can see that. Did you? I noticed the, little off topic, the owl, and I wanted to ask you something about the owl. So
definitely not off topic. I think that's very important to Ahsoka's presence.
Yes, and as Din Djarin is going through the forest. Is it Din Djarin or Din Djarin? I don't want to be pronouncing it.
Din Djarin. That's why I just call him Mando. It's just easier.
Mando's easier. I'm just gonna say Mando. Everybody knows his name now. Okay, so as Mando's going through the forest, you see the owl, which we saw throughout Rebels. We see the owl at the end on the last episode of Clone Wars as Darth Vader picks up Ahsoka's lightsaber,
it all originated from the Mortis arc, because it represents the daughter and her attachment to Ahsoka. All right, so for you guys that haven't seen the Mortis arc, it's gonna be a quick little reminiscence of it. Basically, you have the balance of the dark side and the light side, and then you have the father. So the father, the son, and the daughter. The father is the balance. The son represents the dark side. The daughter represents the light side. When Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan are there, Ahsoka gets corrupted by the dark side, and she ends up getting killed. The daughter ends up giving her life in order to bring Ahsoka back. And so that kind of like destroyed the balance. And so the daughter was always represented as an owl. So whenever Ahsoka was on screen at the end of Clone Wars, during Rebels, even some instances in other episodes of Clone Wars, we saw the owl always connected to Ahsoka. I don't know if it's because she gave her life, but I just know that it created a connection between the two. And so when the daughter gave up her life, I want to say she came back as the owl. and so she was just
Okay.
always connected to Ahsoka.
Was that in
Which
season 3? I think
that was
that's in
season
season
3.
3.
It was like
Okay.
the mid season, I believe.
Okay.
And
It's
so
funny. I was talking to a friend at work, and I was telling him, man, you got to watch. I'm rewatching Rebels right now. I'm almost done
yeah,
with season 1, and I forget how much I like it. And I was telling him that we need to rewatch Rebels while we're watching Mandalorian because it's so connected. And then we started talking about this owl, and I'm starting to think like, okay, what's from Rebels? And he's like, well, why? What happened? And he's like, isn't it from the Mortis arc in Clone Wars? I'm like, oh crap, man! Now I got to go back and watch Clone Wars too,
yeah,
or
absolutely.
at least that arc, you know?
It's almost like they want everybody to watch Clone Wars and Rebels.
Yeah.
But
Rebels
guys,
is I forget how good Rebels. I feel like Rebels is highly underrated, man.
it
I
is
really
highly
like Rebels.
underrated.
I love
And
Rebels.
for you guys that are listening to us, we're gonna be going over Rebels and Clone Wars. We'll let you know when we're gonna do it. You guys can watch it with us, and then we'll tell you what arc we're gonna be covering. You can watch the arc with us, and then we can kind of discuss it as you're watching it, and you can kind of shoot us some questions on our Instagram page. We'll answer them. We'll discuss them, and all that fun jazz.
I really
So
look forward to I really look forward to doing that myself because I typically binge watch Clone Wars and Rebels.
yeah.
I might be doing, on my phone or doing something else and it's just kind of playing. I don't fully always pay full attention to each arc, and I think that's what sometimes I'll miss stuff. It'll be kind
Oh,
of fun to get
absolutely.
in there and just really, really get to know it. But that's kind of what I'm doing right now, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, and I actually kind of want to jump a little bit back to Ahsoka's fighting style because we did
Yeah,
discuss like how some people were disappointed with her style.
yeah,
I kind of want to go back to the whole idea like Anakin did his best to kind of learn all the styles, and I'm wondering if
hmm
Ahsoka kind of did the same too. And we can kind of see her using different styles throughout this entire episode.
yeah.
Because it wasn't even until like the final battle where she lost one of the lightsabers that she actually switched to her normal style, and then she was able to get the advantage and take down Morgan Elsbeth.
Well, didn't her style change a little bit up throughout the Clone War, just the Clone
Uh,
Wars, right?
yeah, she changed it
From
up a little
season
bit.
1 through,
Yeah,
she
she
didn't
didn't
have
used
the
to be the
double
backhanded
style,
ones.
and yeah,
Hmm.
she changed the backhanded. She had the backhanded one blade, and then I don't remember season 3 or 4 in Clone Wars. She ends up with two, and then she has two ever after. And
Hmm.
then in this show, she didn't have to switch style. She didn't have the
Yeah,
reverse blade style
and I
until the
loved
end.
how like through most of the fights that she had, she was using like the surroundings with the force. Like she chops that tree
Yeah,
in half,
she like
and
cuts
there's
a
like this little
piece out of the
chunk,
tree.
and then
Yeah,
she just takes it and throws it at one of the other guys.
yeah, that was
And
fun.
you don't really see that style used too much. Even in Clone Wars, they didn't use that too much, and the films they didn't use it too much. And so I was like, oh, this is so cool to kind of see the melding of the Force along with lightsaber combat.
I like when she jumps over the wall and she's fighting the guys. She cuts the bell in half, and then she
Oh yeah,
pulls she pulls one of the soldiers' guns away, and
throws it
she
right in the
like
other guy's face.
shows her, yeah, and then she turns around and the other guy's like disarmed, and she just kind of gives him a look, and he's like, okay, and he just like runs.
Yeah, that was, I started laughing when I saw that part. I was like, that's definitely an Ahsoka move. Like
Yeah,
Rosario Dawson was able to emulate some of what I liked about Ahsoka and her
yeah,
personality. Um,
yeah.
I also liked what they kind of did with Grogu this episode. Um, like I've been mentioning in like previous episodes, they're slowly making the child more intelligent. Like he's actually the 50 years old. I know I said 70 that he was 70 in the last few episodes. That was just I'm gonna correct myself on that. He's 50. But who was it? I think I was discussing it with you, where he's kind of like more like the elves from Lord of the Rings, where they have long lives,
hmm
but it wasn't what till like they're past 100 that they actually start acting like wise, mature adults. And we're
They
kind of seeing the
actually
same thing with Grogu,
they
where
actually
he's
age. Elves actually age like a normal human, and when they get to maturity, like when they pass 18, 20, they pretty much plateau from there.
okay. Well, I just found it
But
interesting because like they have
yeah,
Grogu where you can see that there's intelligence there, and
hmm
even once we learn about the history of Grogu, but he's got kind of like an immature status about him because he's always trying to go for like the shifter knob and and
I,
doing all these other little childish things, but then you see him do things where he's like super intelligent.
I like how she used when she was testing him, and she used Mando to see if she could get him to pass the stone, and then he ends up pulling out the little ball and he's like, "Do you want this?"
You know you want
Speaking
this?
speaking of what was up with that when she said she's like, "Oh, I like first." She looked like she was like flirting with him.
That's what I thought too.
What
I
was the
thought
deal with that?
I was
I was
talking to a
like,
few other people and they're like, okay, Ahsoka's been alone a little too long. And I saw it and I was like, calm down, Ahsoka.
yeah. So how old is Ahsoka at this point? I think it's Togruta.
Togruta, there you go.
Togruta. How long does a Togruta live? Look that.
That I don't know actually.
Okay, so she was 14 in the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars last 3 years, correct?
Right.
I want to say it's 3 years. So she should be 17 in Revenge of the Sith. And then the gap between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope is it 19 or 20 years? How old is Luke in A New Hope?
Luke in A New Hope is like 20.
Okay, so 20 years. Okay, so she's 37 in A New Hope. And then what's the passive time in the original trilogy? How many years is A New Hope to Empire Strikes Back? Is it 3?
So 14. So I want to say she was maybe like 16 or 17 by the end of the Clone Wars, Revenge of the Sith, and there's 20-year
20, so
gap.
37.
So she's got to be like 50 something.
I think she's in her 40s because she'd be 37 in A New Hope, and then A New Hope to Empire is about 3 years, so that brings her to 40, and then it's only a 6 month gap between Empire and Return of the Jedi, and this is
Right.
5 years after Return of the Jedi. So
Okay.
she's
Yeah.
she's got to be about 46.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
So I don't know how long a Togruta lives, but even if they live the length of a human, she's still technically not even old. She's not even that old.
yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I I'm just asking this because I remember I was talking to people saying, why could Ahsoka be this? She's going to be super old. It's not going to be cool. And I'm like, well, no, she's actually not that old. She was
Well,
really young in the Clone Wars.
it's actually quite interesting because I'm kind of looking it up right now, but they say
Okay.
the average life of a Togruta is 82 to 94 years.
Okay. So it's about the
But
length of a
the
human.
yes, but the Force kind of extends life. Like I don't even think
Ah.
Yoda could have lived that long if he wasn't
Okay.
so
Okay.
connected to the Force. So I think it kind of like ages you slower. It kind of gives you more life force or something.
So something I noticed we learned from these recent episodes or from season 2. Going back to season 1, when the armorer is sending Mando on his quest with a child, he says
Yeah,
you need to take him back and you need to find his kind. Did you think they were talking about going and finding the planet of the Yoda species?
that's what I
Or
originally thought,
that's what I
but
thought too. I
now I'm
totally
thinking
it's just the Jedi.
Mando thinks the Jedi. Yeah. Which
Okay.
is funny because he's coming to Ahsoka, calling her a Jedi. She did
Mm-hmm.
never corrected him in this one, which I found interesting because
Yeah.
last time we saw her against Vader, she's like, "I'm no Jedi,"
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
and so a lot of people are like, "She's not a Jedi. What happened?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, well, it's kind of like the whole thing. It's like the Empire sees her, Mando sees her. She's got lightsabers, so yeah,
She's a Jedi. She's a
she's a
sorcerer.
Jedi. Yeah. Whereas Ahsoka's probably like, "Yeah, I'm not a Jedi," but everybody else sees her as Jedi because of what she's doing. 'Cause she's like sitting there slicing people down.
Which
She
would
wasn't
also
doing anything
explain
Jedi-like.
why well, and that would also wouldn't that also explain why they would never have Luke trained by Ahsoka? She's technically not a Jedi Master. She's technically kind of an independent Force user at this point, but they see her as a Jedi because that's what they
Well,
recognize her as.
I mean, she could be a Jedi Master considering that the Jedi Order is completely gone. She might
Sure.
have, within the time gap between Return of the Jedi and now, she could have taken on a better role.
And technically, I'm sure she's qualified,
Oh,
but
absolutely. Because, like I said, like she knows about Tython, so there's got to be some connection. She knows the name Ashla, which they kind of talked a little bit in Rebels, but it was more to Kanan than anybody else.
yeah,
And so I feel like she's gone on her own pilgrimage, trying to connect to the Force a lot stronger. Maybe that's how she's trying to connect to Ezra to find him, and maybe that's what brought her to this planet is that search or that connection to the Force that she's been going for.
man, yeah, this is all fascinating.
Oh,
It'd be
extremely.
really
There's so much that they could do with the character.
there's a
So
lot
many
of
different
possibilities.
directions.
there's a lot of possibilities. Anything's possible at this point. Sky's the limit, man. It's really cool. Or the universe is the limit. I don't know.
And speaking of the armor, man, dude, that Beskar stuff is something else. Like I
Oh
really,
yeah.
because like he gets to Caladan and they're like, "Oh, you're a hunter, yeah? You're with a guild? Yep. All right, come on in."
Last I
So
checked.
it's like, all right, we're being plagued by a Jedi, so we're gonna hire you to go kill her. And funny thing is, he was like, "Oh, okay, this is the information I need." He's like, "I'm looking for a
Yeah.
Jedi," so he's like, "I'll just go along with it." And
Give me the
then they
coordinates.
present that Beskar spear, and
Yeah.
so, which by the way,
Oh
when he taps
yes.
it on his armor, I love the sound that made.
Yeah, yeah.
Such a
You hear
such
it
a cool
again when
tingle.
you hear it. Yeah, yeah. You hear it again when she kind of pounds it on the ground.
Hmm.
Bang. It's really good.
And so then he goes and search for Ahsoka, and that's when we see that owl that we were talking about earlier. And
Yeah.
then Ahsoka comes out. She throws her lightsaber tries to slice him. He throws his armor up. The Beskar can
Oh yes.
deflect uh, the force of a lightsaber. I thought that whole little battle scene between him and Ahsoka was actually pretty cool.
Just that short little bit when they first met was super awesome. I just watched that like an hour ago, and it
Yeah, like
was, yeah, it was great. It was great.
like he gets her tied up. She does a little flip and then throws him up. She's like, "Holy
Yeah.
crap!" Like
And then she
she
cuts it with her
definitely.
two lightsabers, and he's hanging on the tree, and then she cuts it off, and oh
Then
man,
he disconnects from it so he can get better balance. And there's like
that was
Ahsoka Tano, I sent by Bo-Katan.
yeah,
And then she's like, I
everything
hope it
calms
was
down.
about that little guy.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
just
so now the
oh
oh
no,
no,
go
go ahead,
ahead,
say
go ahead.
yours.
You're good. You're good.
Oh, because I'm gonna be jumping on another little topic. So
Okay. So no, go ahead. Go where you're going.
okay, because I was mentioning Grogu. I was gonna say, what did you think of his history? I found that really fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, it made total sense. He's
It's
basically,
kind of
I mean,
cool.
it said he was trained by several different masters,
Several different masters.
and he
And
was
so he was there. So he was there
and
during while
here,
Ahsoka was there being trained. She
well,
was
the
there.
trippy,
He was there during Clone Wars.
well, the trippy thing that I got out of that was they said that or the intriguing thing, not the trippy thing, the intriguing thing is that he he was taken by he was taken away by some Jedi, and his memory goes dark after that.
Yeah, I was
So
talking
who
to
took him
another
from the
friend.
temple?
Yeah, I was talking to another friend, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I find that really interesting because
Yeah,
his mind goes dark, and he feels lost and alone, and that's
yeah,
all we get from his time
yeah.
from
What the heck, man?
Order 66 up until this point.
Yeah.
And so, where's he been? Who's the Jedi that took him?
And maybe
What's he been
Mando's the one
doing?
that can get the info from him because he's getting closer to him.
I know what's his face, Giancarlo. He he said season 3 and 4 we're gonna see more of Moff Gideon, and
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna get more answers. And so I wonder if it's going to be more
Cool.
answers to Moff Gideon. We're going to get more answers with Grand Admiral Thrawn, which we'll jump a little bit more into that a little bit later, and
Oh man,
more
I hope.
information about uh,
Oh, man.
uh, Grogu.
Who's gonna play Grand Admiral Thrawn? Benedict Cumberbatch.
I would not be disappointed, but I don't know. I wonder if he's too big of an actor to do that. But then again, Disney.
Probably.
But Disney's.
Rosario Dawson's pretty big, man.
Yeah, that is true. And I feel like they have a really big budget for this because those lightsabers.
This is
Uh,
oh man.
they used it quite a lot, and a lot of the scenes, like I felt like they had a high budget just for this episode alone.
Isn't this show in general is just everything you'd want to see in a live action Star Wars show.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying like this episode, they felt like they're watching a movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I even felt I know I felt like that on several of the episodes, but yeah, definitely this episode felt like a mini movie. Oh man, it was really good. The Beskar spear, he gets the Beskar spear, and now he's able to fight the black saber if he needs to because it can
The
deflect
dark saber, yeah.
lightsabers. But the black saber, gosh dang, keep calling it the black saber, the dark saber, whatever, black saber, dark saber.
Yeah, say what you want,
I
but
want to
yeah,
hear
that's the first thing I thought is like that's gonna be his way to be able to go against Moff Gideon with the dark
what
saber.
the sound effect of that black saber is awesome too. So imagine that sound of the Beskar clashing against the black saber.
Yeah,
As much as I want to see the white lightsabers against the black saber, which we could still see that. We don't really know if she'll show up again. But
yeah,
Ahsoka is close to Bo-Katan, and I feel like the story is going to follow. Is going to bring Bo-Katan back and and we're gonna get that whole thing with her wanting to get the black saber, and there'll probably be some type of showdown.
I wonder if there's like some kind of connection. Maybe Grand Admiral Thrawn wants the dark saber, and Moff Gideon just has it, and
Oh,
he's trying to get the child and the dark saber to Thrawn.
yeah, fascinating.
Yeah. And maybe Bo-Katan was with Ahsoka, because it seems like Bo-Katan knew exactly where Ahsoka was, and Ahsoka doesn't seem like Ahsoka's been hiding on that planet for that long. Like, she was literally just there.
Maybe she was headed there
hadn't been there that long.
last you saw.
Yeah, so I wonder if either they came in contact, or maybe Bo-Katan was helping her on the hunt for Ezra, but then the darksaber got taken, so she's like, all right, I'm gonna go get this because it's a little bit more important to my people.
You know, I thought I didn't really understand. She seemed like she knew. It made it seem like the prisoners had some significance the way she was talking about them. She was like, were there prisoners there? And she's like, yeah, they were in cages or whatever. They were hanging in front of the.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. I wonder if they have information she needs, or if she just actually just cares about that city. I mean, I know she cares about the city, but I wonder if there's more to it, or it's just because she's just being the Ahsoka of got to rescue them.
Yeah. Well, so the magistrate basically was around to the Clone Wars, and her people got slaughtered.
Yeah, and then she became a huge force in the Empire. She was the one that helped build the Starfleet, and then she went and plundered planets and then destroyed them, which I thought was interesting. I'm like, dang,
What she actually seemed,
this girl's mean.
she was a very capable fighter. She almost beat Ahsoka.
I wouldn't say she almost beat Ahsoka.
I was
I
actually
think
starting
Ahsoka was toying with her.
Okay, because I was thinking when I was watching it, I was like, I feel like she better not beat Ahsoka. They kind of had made it seem like there was like the possibility was there, and I was thinking that's not cool if she beats Ahsoka. That would be so lame.
Because if she could beat Ahsoka, she could beat Vader. That's my train of thought on that.
But so I know you disagree with me on this. My only gripe with the entire episode watching the second time is the fight between what's the name of the magistrate again?
Morgan Elsbeth.
Morgan Elsbeth. So the fight between Morgan Elsbeth and Ahsoka Tano, I thought it was a little slow for all the cool stuff I saw Ahsoka do before. I love seeing Ahsoka block all the bullets and do the flips, and I thought it was cutting down the soldiers. I had a blast watching all that stuff. The fight, well, I didn't hate it. I just thought it was a little I don't know how to describe it. It was a little slow. You got to think about it.
It's kind of hard to transfer the agility of Ahsoka from an animated series to a live action. There's a little bit more restrictions that you can do with it, and especially with the style that they're going for this episode, it felt very much akin to a samurai town.
Yeah,
and so that final battle was more styled after the way the samurai would fight, and
you gotta fight the leader.
Yeah, and so it was a little bit more focus rather than
toiling and showy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying, from seeing the way, like you said, it's hard to transfer animated to live action. Maybe this is some of the complaints I've heard from a couple people, but Ahsoka's so agile the way she fights. She's so acrobatic,
and she's also older now. So
and she is older. There you go. She's definitely older. And
some of the complaints that people had with Obi-Wan when went against Vader, like they're both old men.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So you see, oh man, that's actually a post. I want to do that. I want to do like a video of show Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting, and then kind of flash to episode 4, then flash back to that, and flash.
That'd be actually kind of funny.
That'd be kind of fun. I'll try it. I'll just do like a 30-second montage or something. It'd be kind of funny to watch. I don't know how we'll. Anyway,
yeah,
it'd be kind of fun.
That would actually be really funny. And speaking of like connecting everything, I really liked how Ahsoka just kind of was like, oh, I've seen another person or another Jedi.
Oh yeah,
that was very similar. She mentioned Yoda, and it kind of gives the little Yoda feel. And then she mentions Clone Wars, and then reference to Anakin. Yeah. It's just reference to everything, and I just thought it was really cool.
I got chills in those scenes. Well, they even played a little bit when she mentioned she's like, I've met one other of this kind before, and she said, or I know of one other kind before, and she said Yoda, and you kind of hear his theme a little bit in the background, and his musical theme a little bit, and I was thinking, I was like, well, what about Yaddle?
Yeah,
Yaddle
Yaddle.
was out there. So, but maybe Yaddle was dead during the Clone Wars. I don't remember when Yaddle
Yeah, because
dies.
Yaddle was only in the Phantom Menace.
Sure,
He
and
wasn't
Yaddle
there in
wasn't
Attack
there
of
in
the
the.
Clones.
Yeah, Yaddle was gone. She was
And then
replaced.
because Ahsoka didn't come until after Episode 2.
Did you notice? I didn't. I noticed on the second viewing as well. Uh, they play Ahsoka's score several times from Clone Wars, and it's really cool. And when they say goodbye, the last scene when he's taken off to possibly Tython, where they're going to try and connect Grogu to a possible Jedi prospect master teacher. You hear the score kind of swell, and it gets really kind of gets kind of louder, and it's pretty epic. It's really cool. And I didn't catch that the first time I watched it. I just heard the music. I was just paying attention to the story, but this time I was kind of paying attention to more of the other kind of background things or whatever I could find, and I thought it was really cool.
That's why I really like the soundtrack on this.
Yeah, no, it was
It just
really good.
really connected everything, and then it kind of gave it its own kind of like feel.
Well, they had a lot of the kind of that kind of sort of tin flute sort of style, kind of playing a lot more. Yeah, it was really cool. They changed it up on this episode. He probably saved some of his musical pieces for this on purpose.
Oh yeah,
Some
probably.
of his better stuff. Like I said, it was like a movie. It was really cool.
Yeah, even like I want to jump back real quick, like to that final
Sure.
fight scene. Just one thought that came to mind. With we were saying that Morgan Elsbeth looked like she was gonna beat Ahsoka, but when Ahsoka lost her lightsaber,
She
she
switched
switched her style, and within a couple moves, that spear was down. And
and
Ahsoka,
she if you saw Morgan's face, you saw the magistrate's face. As soon as she went to
surprised.
switch, when she went to switch, she had this look like, oh shoot, this is where she's at her best, and I'm gonna lose.
Yeah,
She kind of knew she was gonna lose
I
when
was
she
joking with
switched.
my cousin. We were watching it, and like this whole scene reminds me of like a fight out of Mortal Kombat.
Sure.
And then right when she puts the lightsaber up to her throat, it's like finish her.
I like how Mando's over on the other side of the door with
Yeah, I
the
wanted
other
to talk
guy.
about that. I thought that was interesting. They're
He's
just
all
sitting
like,
there just chilling.
who do you think's gonna win? Your side, or maybe it'll be my side. Who knows?
I like that we both are willing to die for more the things that we believe in.
Yeah, he's like, I don't have any I don't have any gripe with you, Mandalorian. We could just.
Oh yeah,
And
he was just
he's
trying to
like,
get his guard down. I knew he was
he's like,
coming up.
back up, get your butt back there. And then I love how he just kind of puts. He's like, all right, it's cool, it's cool. He puts his gun down. He thinks he can be slick with a gun, and man, it's just like, bam.
He's like, nope, not gonna happen.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I actually really like the banter between Mando and the captain. Like even when he is hired to kill Ahsoka, he's leaving, and he's like, "So what's that thing?" And he's like, "Oh, I just talking about
Oh
Grogu."
yeah, yeah.
He's like, "I just keep him for luck," and he's like, "You're gonna need all the luck where you're headed."
Well, I remember
It's
the ads for season 2 when they first showed it on Disney Plus. You saw Mando with the Yoda in the pouch, or Grogu in the pouch, the child in the pouch.
that's true. That is true. We did see that.
So was this the first episode we saw with the? It's the first time we saw him with the pouch, right? Putting
Yeah,
Grogu
I
in the
think so.
pouch.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of
Uh,
crazy.
yeah, I actually really liked the captain. Like he was very intimidatingly chill.
Yeah,
Like you
definitely.
knew he looked very respectable. He looked like somebody you didn't want to mess with, but at the same time, I felt like he was high or something. He just seemed super chill.
It was funny how Ahsoka kind of used him saying, "All right, I killed your bounty hunter," and then
Dude, the whole
more.
start of that whole scene was really cool, where she just
Oh
jumps on
yeah,
the rooftops and goes into the stealthy kills, and you just hear all the screams in the background,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's just walking around. Um,
You got those
and I want to
TK
make it
droids.
HK droids. I actually wanted
Oh,
to mention a
HK,
couple.
HK.
I
My
actually
bad.
wanted to mention a couple
TK. I'm
things
thinking of
that
stormtroopers.
for those people that are familiar with Battlefront 2, and then people that are familiar with Knights of the Old Republic, the HK assassin droids are actually originally from Knights of the Old Republic. A little bit different design that they used in here in Mando, but it's cool that they kept the idea of the HK droids being assassin droids.
They're just like
They're
pulling things from everything. It's awesome.
they're kind of like IG-88, where they're basically bounty hunter droids, or they're used for as assassins. And then from Battlefront 2, you get to run around with like a little shotgun blaster, and this is the first time that we actually see on screen in canon a shotgun blaster, which the captain was running around with, and it gives like a little spray. It's pretty cool.
That was really cool, man. That was awesome.
And I love how Dave Filoni just keeps pulling in his own creations. Like we had a little feral lost cat running around.
Oh yeah,
hissing at everybody.
Yeah, that was fun. We saw one back in episode
season
4.
1.
Season 1, yeah.
Yeah.
They I love how they're about to kill the prisoners. How the magistrate says, "Go ahead and kill the prisoners," and then Mando jumps out and just takes those 2 guys out, and then she's basically saying, "Kill the prisoners," and then go to door, basically, and just kill everybody. It's like, geez, man, what a biatch.
Like, take a chill pill, girl. Yeah, seriously.
Jeez. So.
And I just love how quick Mando is with the blaster. Like he just comes in and he's definitely a gunslinger. Like even against the captain, like the captain pulls that gun behind him. Mando's just like, nope, not having it. Then the HK droid comes off of the roof and it's like, oh, watch out. Mando's like, nope, not today. Boom.
Well, he's like the perfect soldier. He's a gunslinger. He's a sniper. He does great hand-to-hand combat, and then on top of that, I bet you he's probably handy with that spear.
Oh, so absolutely.
He probably has fencing skills too. I mean, he's just an all-around, and he flies. I mean, he's just the all-around.
Like, I wonder if we'll see him use that spear before he gets the Moff Gideon.
I really hope we do, because I bet you there'll be some cool stuff with it.
Because it seems like every episode they introduce something that's going to be useful for Mando, and
just keep adding to his
repertoire.
Yeah,
his resume. Yeah. I even think it was really cool when he walks in and they're like, "Oh, the magistrate would like to see you." After he's like sitting there trying to talk to the civilians, and the guard's like, "Nope, not happening." He walks in and she's like, "Oh, the Mandalorians, the Jedi are an ancient enemy of the Mandalore." Yeah. I like how we got a little bit. We kind of discussed it a little bit in one of the previous episodes, how it was like linked to Legends. It's kind of cool that they're kind of keeping a lot of that into canon as well.
When she just said it as fact, as if you would know what she's talking about. She's like, "Well, we're going to send you to hunt down this Jedi because why? You're the enemy of the Jedi. You're a rival to the Jedi. Mandalorians can take on Jedis. That's how cool they are."
Yeah, and the Armorer mentioned it in season 1 too. How they fought against them.
How hardcore is a Mandalorian to be able to take on a Jedi who's able to have Force powers?
Yeah,
and not have powers. It's just they're that cool.
That's why I was wondering why Ahsoka wasn't really using it against Morgan or the Magistrate.
Maybe she was trying to be more honorable.
Like you said, that is true. That is the samurai style.
Yeah, it's like honorable fight. It's like someone has a gun, but they're going to pull out a sword. Are you going to just shoot them? I mean, you're going to. That's not honorable.
Yeah, because it was the same between Maul and Pre Vizsla. Maul didn't really use the Force against them. It was all just like straight sword combat.
It's kind of funny. I always wondered about that throughout Clone Wars and Rebels. Even the Star Wars movies, sometimes they're fighting. If it's not a Jedi, well, not the prequels, because prequels we usually saw Jedi fighting Sith, and they both used Force. They both fought. But I always thought, man, a guy with the Force, a guy without the Force, would just say, you know what, screw this, choke him out, or just hold him up in the air and just slice him while he's stuck in the air.
I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I played the Force Unleashed, that was like one of the things I always did.
Yeah.
I just sit there and just like pick people up, throw them against the wall, and just kill them.
Okay.
Or Natural Old Republic, I just like do like a Force lightning storm and just execute everybody in the area.
That's what I'm saying. These guys, they got the Force. I always wonder why they never use it. And I think if they're not going to explain it, I'm just going to think to myself, it's an honor thing.
It's either that, or maybe we can kind of go into like a little bit more background, like in a game style where you have a certain amount of ability that will drain you. Yeah. And so
you saw Yoda when he used all that power to stop the beast in the second episode in season 1.
Yeah.
When with the Jawas with the egg episode.
Yeah.
And he was sleeping like for it seemed like days.
Oh, Grogu, the baby.
Yeah.
The child.
Yeah. And it just seemed like it wore him the heck out. So maybe they do kind of wind down and kind of have to regenerate. I don't know. That's something we've never really learned about. Yeah.
It was kind of hinted with Grogu, in season 1.
Yeah.
And maybe the more experienced, more connected to the Force, maybe the
The
more
more
you're
you can
able to
use it.
wield it. Yeah.
I mean, because look at some of the Force wielders that are more advanced, like Yoda or Obi-Wan, or even Anakin.
Yeah.
They seem like they're able to use it a lot more.
I was gonna say Anakin never looked like he was worn out after using the Force.
No, man, Anakin was
Anakin's a different
one of
breed.
yeah, Anakin was a different breed, man. He was a freaking Skywalker, a real Skywalker,
Yeah.
true Skywalker, the OG Skywalker.
Yeah. Not some I'll steal the name just because I'm ashamed of my history.
Yeah,
But we'll get more into that when we get to
it,
Rise of Skywalker, which
it's funny because I keep forgetting Rey's a Palpatine. I'm like, oh yeah, she's a Palpatine.
oh
Okay,
man, they could have done so much better with Rey on that, but that'll be another discussion.
who the hell is the dad? Anyway,
So overall, I really enjoyed the episode. Dave Filoni really delivered. Not just one scene, but almost every scene was intriguing for me. So Dave Filoni, hats off to you. I can't wait to see what else you come up with. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what could top this episode.
yeah, I don't know, man. I as much as I'm still debating on what my favorite episode is on season 2. I am loving the heck out of season 2. I've actually liked every single episode for different reasons. I especially like the third episode with Bo-Katan. I've only watched that one. I've actually watched every episode 3 times now, and I've only seen that one twice. And I want to watch it again a couple more times because I just love Bo-Katan. But this one right here, I don't know, man. It's not even the action in this movie that I like so much.
It's the lore.
It's the lore, and it's just the little quiet moments with Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Just kind of, I just loved I loved how calm she was. She just seemed like she was very, very mature. A totally different Ahsoka, but still Ahsoka.
Under control.
Under
Especially
control.
when she's asking for who. She's like, "Where's your master at?" Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so next episode, guys, I'll do a little bit background on Grand Admiral Thrawn, his connection to Legends, his tie into Rebels, and uh, generally just who he is, because he's a very interesting character.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to hear more about him.
Generally, who is that'd be quite admirable. No, I'm just kidding. Admirable? No, not funny. Anyways, go ahead.
So stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe to us, give us a like, comment down below, ask us questions. Right in the description, you can check out our Instagram page. We have our merch, which you can check out. We got some cool shirts that you guys can order. So
Yeah. Be sure to ask questions. We like answering questions. If you guys have any questions, even if we don't know the answer, it's fun just to kind of speculate.
oh, absolutely. And so today we kind of did a little bit longer episode, so we're holding off questions until next week. But we'll definitely get back to questions next week. So this is Echo 2.
And this is Echo 5.
Signing off. May the Force be with you.
Always.